Take a look at all the pictures of family that line that hallway all the way into the kitchen. Sit with me at Granny Marble's kitchen table where we had all those big old family reunions so many years ago. And let's talk about ag weather. That's the appetizer here during the noon program, the 12:30 p.m. live stream. We'll use San Antonio as our benchmark weather station. We started out about 51 this morning. They thought we'd just get to 57. We're looking for a sunny sky today, 81 the high, 57 the low. Thursday the 5th, mostly sunny, a passing cloud, 83 the high, 59 the low, mostly clear overnight with less than a 10% chance of moisture. Friday the 6th, sunny, 81 and 52. Saturday the 7th, sunny, 80 and 57. Sunday the 8th, sunny, 83 and 60. Monday the 9th, a few clouds, 86 and 67. A 20% chance of moisture goes through Tuesday the 10th, where we'll have the same amount of clouds and sun, 83 and 56. Wednesday, less clouds, 78 and 61, and then a 40% chance of rain on Thursday the 12th, maybe 6 or 7 points. Neighbor, there's at least a week's worth of ag weather for the smack dab middle of down on the farm country, because remember, we have stations all the way up in Abilene that reach to Aspermont, and all the way down in Corpus Christi that reach down into Mexico. And then all the way back west, folks listen to us, on the Coconut there in Alpine and as far east as the Louisiana line. So down on the farm radio covers the country. Neighbor, let's take a look at which direction our commodity futures might trade today. We'll utilize DTN's Southern Standard Edition for our market outlook. As we look first toward corn, beans, and wheat, we see that despite an uptick due to recent rains, the U.S. winter wheat crop has the second lowest condition score for early November in the last 32 years. Also on the bull side of that equation, rising tensions between China and Australia are expected to result in China banning wheat imports from the continent, which could result in more imports from the U.S. As we look at bare indicators, weather models are putting follow-up moisture in the eastern portions of the southern plains this weekend and early next week, which would promote establishment ahead of dormancy. And also the U.S. dollar index rallied 90 to 94.302 overnight, the highest trade since September the 28th, with resistance from the 100-day moving average at 94.23. Again, we saw light gains in the corn market overnight, mostly firmer in beans. Selling pressure in Chicago, Minneapolis, while Kansas City wheat saw small gains early this morning. As we take a look toward cotton, my Texas farming and ranching neighbor, we see that the market is awaiting tomorrow's export sales report. Of late, Pakistan has come out as the lead buyer for U.S. cotton. As the world's fourth largest cotton producer, some traders are wondering whether the Pakistani crop has suffered year losses from adverse weather and insects. Neighbor, I'm going to hit you with a little bit of livestock market information right after this.
The formula for success is a simple one. Put strong in, get strong out. That's why cotton growers looking to improve yield potential plant Delta Pine brand cotton, featuring 100 years of proven yield potential and exclusive genetics in every bag. Strong is a legacy all its own. Protect yours with strong cotton from Delta Pine. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Neighbor, let's see what the pundits on the livestock market side will allow this fourth day of November 2020. Cash cattle interest remains sluggish in all the areas of cattle country on Wednesday. Although asking prices are still hard to pin down, cattle appear to be priced around 110 by the hundredweight live. With a lack of bids early in the week, the potential for a delay until later week comes into mind, Thursday or Friday, before activity develops. Feeders still have not seen any cash market support developing from last week's futures rally, but the hope that firming boxed values on Tuesday will stimulate positive price levels could add momentum to the live and to the dressed deals. As we look toward bull and bear indicators, again, according to DTN Southern Edition. On the bull side, further support in box beef values Tuesday stimulated additional fundamental support. On the bear side, feeder cattle futures continue to chip away at previous market gains seen last week. The steady pressure Monday and Tuesday may not move back to recent lows, but the inability for continued price gains may quickly box the market into a sideways trade range. Neighbor, my friend Kerry Martin is at the news desk of the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Let's go to him and see what's on the agenda for today's edition of Focus on Ag.
Election Day is here. I'm Kerry Martin with Focus on Agriculture on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Election Day is here, and the results will determine the country's path forward over the next 4 years. Chris Clayton is the Ag Policy Editor with DTN. He says rural American votes helped to propel Donald Trump into office 4 years ago, and Democrats have taken notice of that.
The rural areas play a big focus. It's always about the margins. The Democrats, I think this time around, have been a lot more focused on rural issues. And it seems like I get peppered with stuff from Democrats that I did not get 4 years ago. There's just a lot more focus on it. It's not so much that they expect to win rural Minnesota or expect to win rural Iowa, but reduce the margin of victory for Trump and Republicans.
Clayton says the outcome of the congressional races could shape the direction of agricultural policy in different ways, depending on the outcome of the election.
There are no typical growing seasons. Each brings different challenges. So what if this year you do something different? Like stepping up to proprietary C2 fertilizer technology from Nutrient Ag Solutions. Step up to improved extended nutrient efficiency and plant performance. Step up to better productivity and profitability in your fields. Don't treat it like a typical growing season. Take your fertility program to the next level with C2 technology from Nutrient Ag Solutions. Talk to your crop consultant or learn more at lpi.ag/stepup.
Conventional wisdom says that you get what you pay for, and conventional wisdom is right. You won't find Crystalix in the bargain aisle, but it will always get optimal performance out of your cattle. Whether you feed it in a steel or plastic barrel or our sustainable single-trip bio barrel, Crystalix is more than just a supplement. It's an investment. With Crystalix, performance is served. Visit Crystalix.com to find a dealer near you. Corn silage is a staple for many cattle and dairy operations, but with the dry weather patterns we've seen recently, producers may want to look at forage sorghum for silage instead of corn.
And what we have seen through years of research is that newer forage sorghum hybrids do produce a comparable yield in a non-stressed environment and even greater yields in a stressed environment.
That's Texas A&M agronomist Dr. Jordan Bell. She says drought stress can drastically reduce the quality of corn silage, while new forage sorghum varieties can handle the drought much easier.
Even though there is the belief that corn silage is better, when we're putting corn in a stressed environment, we really want to be focusing on forage sorghums.
Bell says the use of drought-tolerant forage sorghum can substantially reduce production risk in water-limited environments. I'm Kerry Martin on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
You know, neighbor, there is one day of the week I cannot get our cowboys to eat lunch with us. And, of course, that's Wednesday when the Hungry Heifer is open. That's the Hungry Heifer, the cafe at Caldwell Livestock Commission Company. They head down to eat there, and then they help Carl Herman get cattle moved out. Carl, put them to work and tell us how the sale's shaping up for today.
You know, we've got some cattle coming in. I think we'll have around what we had last week, around 500 or 600 tomorrow. I think a lot of people are either deer hunting or waiting on the election to be over with.
Right.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
See what the effect is going to be. So we'll see tomorrow. Everything's going to be fine. I think the market's been fine compared to last week. I think we'll be in good shape. So give me a call at 979-820-5349. Call a barn, 567-4119. If you're in the Giddings area, call Max Ebner at 540-8676.
Remind folks about the dates of the special coming in November.
Yes, sir. November 14th, Saturday at 1 o'clock. We're going to have 700 really good cows, pairs, breds, and opens. Going to have some bulls, too. So If anybody needs to call me about the consignments, you know my number.
Good
Give me a
deal.
call.
We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you after the sale, Carl.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm on the line with Stephen. He's in the outside sales department at D&D. Stephen, when I look out there, I see lots of deer blinds and feeders. Talk to us about them.
Larry, now is the time to get a blind or a feeder from us here. We carry All Seasons, Lamco, The Judge. We also carry Atascosa and T-Box deer blinds.
Tell everybody how to contact you at D&D.
You can reach us here at 830-379-7340, extension 260.
Neighbor, when you hear cattle in the alleyway on a Wednesday, that means Doug Bass is gathering and bringing them in for the sale on Friday at Cattleman's Brenham. Doug, how did the sale go last week?
I had a good sale, Mr. Larry. We had a lighter run. We had 733 head of cattle, but the market looked better. Thought the cow market was better and the calf market. Yes, sir. On your weigh-in cows, your thinner, lower-yielding cows bring 22 to 43. Better high-yielding cows bring 45 to 63. Lower-yielding bulls, thinner bulls bring 48 to 68. Better high-yielding bulls bring 72 to 89. Pairs, just had very few pairs. Pairs bring 800 to 1,100. On your breeds, had a handful of bred cows bring 550 to 1,100. The calf market, like I said, I thought the calf market was a little better. Thought we sure seen a little better on the bigger cattle than what we've been seeing. Your roping calves, your 1 to 2 weight roping calves, your steers bring 155 to 182. Heifers bring 140 to 167. 2 to 3 weight steers bring 138 to 186. Heifers bring 125 to 147. 3 to 4 weight steers bring 130 to 181. Heifers bring 118 to 137. 4 to 5 weight steers bring 127 to 184. Heifers bring 115 to 150. 5 to 6 weight steers bring 115 to 133. Heifers bring 108 to 162. 6 to 7 weight steers bring $1 to $1.29. Heifers bring 95 to 140. 7 to 8 weight steers bring 85 to 131. Heifers bring 80 to 157. And your 800 to 1,000 pound steers and bull yearlings bring 75 to 113. And the heiferettes bring 70 to 95.
What do you know coming this week?
We got a few calls this week, yes, sir. I think everybody's kind of hanging out, watching this market, and I guess everybody's kind of waiting to see what this election does. But
Right.
I think we're going to be a little lighter this week, too, but that's okay. It seems like it's helping the market a little bit.
Tell everybody how to contact you, Doug Bass.
Yes, sir. You can call me on my cell phone, which is 979-877-4454, or call Sarah at the office, which is 979-836-3621.
We're on the line with Sam from D&D. Sam, I've never seen as much Stay Tough fence in my whole life.
That's right, Larry. Right now, we have the largest supply of American T-post and the largest supply of Stay Tough fencing in Texas.
Tell us how to take advantage of all that product.
All you got to do, Larry, is call me at 830-379-7340, and that's for one of our friendly staff members.
Neighbor, if you watched the election prognostications and recap last night, you see that rural communities within the United States play an important part in our presidential elections. Tom Nicoletti speaks to that in regards to rural Texas on today's edition of Texas News and Views. Tom?
TFB Network's Gary Joyner has this report on how Texans responded to the nationwide census.
Counting every person living in the United States is a huge undertaking. The U.S. Census recently finished its data collection. In Texas, the final response rate was 99.9%. Almost 63% of folks in our state self-responded to the census. The other 37% were counted with follow-ups and records. Rural Texans knew how important it was to be counted in the census. It's about representation. The Texas Demographic Center says since the last census, Texas has added over 3.5 million people and is well positioned to gain at least 2 additional congressional seats after 2020. It's also about federal dollars. The distribution of more than $675 billion in federal funds, grants, and supports to states, counties, and communities are based on census data. This money is spent on schools, hospitals, roads, and public works. Census data are also factored into allocation of money through various Farm Bill and USDA programs.
Conventional wisdom says that you get what you pay for, and conventional wisdom is right. You won't find Crystalix in the bargain aisle, but it will always get optimal performance out of your cattle. Whether you feed it in a steel or plastic barrel or our sustainable single-trip bio barrel, Crystalix is more than just a supplement. It's an investment. With Crystalix, performance is served. Visit Crystalix.com to find a dealer near you.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
I'm made of grit, passion, and hands that never stop working.
I'm made of agronomics, innovation, and hands that never stop helping.
I believe cotton isn't a crop. It's a calling. I'm made to grow it.
Protect it.
I know this is important to my family.
Every family.
That's why I work harder.
Innovate better.
To make my cotton as good as it can be.
As protected as it can be.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
We create chemistry.
For more insight into the importance of the census, we now go to Washington and Stephen Buckner. He is with the U.S. Census Bureau, serving as Assistant Director for Communications. Why is the census so important?
Well, the census is so important that our founding fathers actually put it right up on the top of the Constitution. So Article 1, Section 2 states that we do a census for reapportioning the U.S. House of Representatives. That is, to have a representative democracy, you have to split the amount of representation among the states. And so that's why we do the census once every 10 years, and we've been doing it since 1790. It's also about money. It's about money that comes back to state and local governments for key programs, public services like health clinics, schools, roads, food and farm assistance programs, even unemployment insurance. For rural America, it also means services for water and waste disposal, rural business development grants, and rural housing preservation grants. So it's really, really key to get an accurate count because we only do it once every 10 years. And if you're not counting, it's not just a one-year mistake, it's a 10-year mistake.
Where does the information go from there? How long does it take for you to assimilate all of that information to make heads or tails out of it for the future, for the infrastructure and educational and other funding moving forward for the next 10 years?
Yeah, the census is one of those rare government functions that actually has a deadline and that you have to meet. And by law, we normally have to report the data by December 31st of the census year and report the totals to the president and to the Congress. But because of COVID and the pandemic the nation is under right now, we've worked with Congress and leaders to push back some of our census deadlines, and therefore we've pushed deadline for producing the data to March 31st of 2021. That's when the apportionment totals will come out, and then very shortly right after that, we'll start producing state-level redistricting data for the state legislators to then go and redistrict their states.
That is Stephen Buckner. He is with the U.S. Census Bureau in Washington, D.C.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com for an agent you can trust with life's most important decisions. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Texas News and Views. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Thank you, Tom. Now, neighbor, let's take a look at the grains, courtesy of our friend John Tuggle. But before we do that, let's look at his commentary from yesterday. He says that corn futures were higher all day yesterday, closing up 3 to 4 cents for the day. Soybeans were also higher, 8 to 12 cents, and KC wheat was up 4 by the bushel. Although yesterday had concerns about a negative impact of some corn demand due to higher global infection rates for coronavirus, he says there is probably a bigger likelihood that the U.S. corn crop is not going to be large as currently projected and that the export demand will increase, both lowering the ending year carryout. From a global standpoint, Ukraine's corn crop could easily be 275 million bushels less than currently projected, and due to late planting, Brazil's crop could be more than 200 million bushels less than expected. There is also reason to believe that China's corn crop is currently overstated by about 300 million bushels. The U.S. corn crop is well on the way to being harvested, now about 82% harvested compared to the 5-year average of only 69. Now let's take a look at the grains, courtesy of John Tuggle. Call 800-288-4453. Milo through Corpus Christi in November. D's plus 220, 1109. We'll call the Mexican Puerto Progreso, 1050. Yellow corn through Corpus in November. D's plus 40, 441. We'll call hard red winter wheat through Corpus, November delivery. D's plus 75, 632. We'll call Placido beans, November less 60, 999. Neighbor, let's take a look at cotton. While we excuse y'all from the kitchen table, you need to get back to work, neighbor. 584 Bella of East Texas, 962 Bella West Texas, 1,546 total for an average price of $66.83. That's it for Down on the Farm. Neighbor, thanks for listening. Good day.